everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is Mnemonic Tutor, and today we're doing a review of a new controller for PlayStation 4. If you are familiar with the logo on the upper right hand corner of this box here, then you'll already know who this controller is from. But for those of you who aren't, this is a SCUF controller, one of the many SCUF branded controllers for PlayStation 4. So this particular model of controller from SCUF is called the Vantage controller. As you can see here from the front of the box, or the top of the box, however you want to look at it, it is a wireless or wired controller for PS4. One thing I want to note right now is that this does not work on PC. Unlike the Xbox One Elite controller, which I can use on my PC or Xbox One X, this can only work on PlayStation 4, which isn't really that bad considering, it's marketed as a PS4 accessory. However, for those of you who like to play on multiple platforms, just know that you will only be able to use this on your PS4 or PS4 Pro for now. So here we have the back of the box, and it has a diagram of what's inside the box. Now we're going to go through that as we open it, so I'm not going to go through it right now. However, we are going to key in on a couple of important features here, and one of them has to do with why I bought this particular controller. A lot of you know that I'm not really a PlayStation 4 player. I primarily play on PC and Xbox One, and so I'm used to an Xbox controller layout. If you look at the diagram here, you can see easily that this controller has asymmetric thumbsticks or offset thumbsticks, just like the Xbox One Elite controller does, or any Xbox One controller. That's actually the main reason I bought this particular controller, because I wanted the offset thumbsticks so it would be as close to a Xbox experience as possible. That being said, there are a couple other features that also mimic the Elite, which you'll see here on the back. It does both wireless and wired, so you can, and I've tested both modes and they both work fine, so you can use that. And it has paddles on the back that allow you to remap the buttons, which is what the Elite controller has, and that is critical for me, especially when playing FPSs. Now, I'll admit I haven't played an FPS on a controller in a very long time, and you guys will see that when we do the game capture footage from Apex later. But it does allow you to remap the buttons. So instead of taking your right thumb off of the thumbstick to hit the buttons, right, to fire or reload or whatever the case may be, you can keep your thumb on that thumbstick to aim and use the paddles on the back of the unit to go ahead and hit the buttons, right? So X, square, circle, and triangle. So again, those two things are the key things as to why I bought this. Offset thumbsticks and paddles on the back. Now we'll go on to the next view so you can actually see what this thing looks like, kind of exploded apart, and then we'll move on into the actual unboxing of the unit. And this here is the last view we're going to do from outside of the box before we do the actual unboxing. And I just wanted to show you this so you could see what the exploded view looks like. You can see all the kind of pieces and how they all fit together. You've got the yellow anti-friction rings that the thumbsticks will slide into when you're kind of moving them in a 360-degree motion. The actual thumbsticks themselves that are swappable for different size ones, the sax buttons, the triggers, the rumble packs inside of there, the D-pad, and then at the bottom you'll see the 4 paddles themselves. And the 4 paddles, like I said, are one of the biggest reasons I bought this controller. So let's go ahead and open it up and let you guys see what it looks like inside and kind of what the packaging looks like. So as you can see here, the packaging is actually quite nice here. We're going to flip it over and then flip it over again or upside down so that we can go ahead and open the box for you guys. So as you can see, the packaging here is on point. I mean, the packaging looks a lot like what Apple would do for one of their devices. Here you see this little thing that was stuck to the roof of the box that says "Get ready." It kind of shows you how to play it wired, how to play it wireless. It's got some instructions there, what the front of the controller looks like, what the buttons are, what the back of it looks like, what those buttons are. And it's just kind of a quick reference guide if you want to look at it that way. Here it's showing you the features like the thumbsticks, the vibration modules, quick access to the remapping. I mentioned earlier you can remap stuff. Also, it has an audio touch bar. It allows you to control your microphone by swiping and tapping. And then there's interchangeable pieces all over the place, right? Vibration modules, paddles, D-ring, all kinds of stuff. And here's the information to get a hold of them for social media and support, should you know. And I actually did use that support, and I'll talk about that later. So let's put that aside and kind of pull out the controller itself here. One of the things you're going to notice is the controller is a little small. Now, keep in mind, and I'll show you here in a second what I mean by that, but you know, I'm pushing the buttons here just to make sure everything kind of clicks right. Here we'll do a really slow peel for those people who are fans of peeling and unboxing videos. But, you know, the thumbsticks click well, the buttons click well, the D-pad, you know, works well. The actual thumbstick feel is smooth. It's not jerky. It's not too tough. It's not too soft. It actually feels just right. Overall, the build quality of it feels solid. I actually tried to kind of bend it different ways and it didn't. Here you'll see me. It's got some stuff here for you to open up or take off the actual magnetic faceplate. So we'll pop that off here. Then you guys can see what it looks like inside. So this is what the back of the inside of the faceplate looks like. Pretty standard, but I'm sure they're doing this to kind of show you how to take it apart, so that if you actually want to swap out some of the components inside later, you can, right? And one of those things is it has the vibration packs that you can actually take out, right? So the faceplate's actually nice. Here you can see the right and the left vibration packs, and I've taken it all apart here, right? So you can see what the inside looks like. Sorry, it went a little bit off screen here. That's the port where you plug in the wired controller. Those are the lower triggers and upper triggers. Again, here's one weird thing. The thumbsticks will actually get stuck off center without those anti-friction rings. So keep that in mind. If you don't have them on, you could potentially get them stuck. They don't get stuck during play though. The paddles on the back, very responsive, very clicky. I'm sorry the audio has been turned off here. There was some stuff going on in the background. I had to cut it, but trust me, they're super clicky. They're actually really loud when you depress them. So you know when you're pushing those paddles, and they respond instantaneously, just like if you were pushing the button. So there's no noticeable lag. Again, for the price, this controller retails for $200, right? Sometimes a little more. For the price, it is good, right? It is actually what you would expect paying $200 for a controller. And I know that's super expensive for some people, but if you really care about your FPSs, now there you can see where I tried to kind of bend it. Here's what I was talking about it being a little small. Now, mind you, I have some giant hands, so this is not going to be the average user's experience, but for me, it's still a little small compared to my Elite controller, but quality is excellent for the price, and I'm saying that it's, you know, it's commensurate with what you paid. You don't feel like you got ripped off, and it definitely functions well. It actually works. It actually does what it said it's going to do. So that's the important part for me when I buy something. So here's a little carrying case that comes with. As you can tell, it's kind of a tough or a hard shell. I think it's nylon. Just like the same one that comes with the Xbox One Elite controller. Good quality, nothing wrong with it. Here's what's inside of it. This is the braided cable. It's a standard micro USB to USB, I guess it's A. And then there's this little pill-shaped thing, and you might wonder, well, what is that for? Well, we'll see here in a second what it's actually for. But it essentially is a container that you put stuff inside of, right? And it keeps it from kind of jostling around inside of that that case when you're traveling, right? So here it says, customize your experience. So what does that mean? Well, as I mentioned before, a lot of the parts in this controller can actually be swapped out. You can put different height of thumbsticks. You can add or remove the vibration packs. You can change the D-pad from a traditional Nintendo type, you know, cross D-pad to one that has a disc-shaped type of D-pad. There's just a bunch of customization options for these units, as well as, mind you, as well as changing out the faceplate. You can order different faceplates. So here are all the little pieces you can kind of customize. So here are some different height thumbsticks that are put in here, some different trigger buttons. I believe those are anti-friction rings in black. I don't remember exactly. This is a little tool you can use for adjusting different things on the actual controller. I haven't used it yet, only because button remapping. So this is the disc itself here that you can swap out for the D-pad, kind of like the Xbox Elite, right? So again, this is very similar to the Xbox Elite controller. These here, I think, are anti-friction rings. So if you're used to working with an Elite controller, you'll know what you can do with it. These here are extended triggers. So if you want to have a little bit, you know, longer triggers than the standard ones, you can go ahead and swap those out. But as you can see here, this is what this little pill is for, right? So you can take all these little pieces that you took out of the that little packet, throw them inside of here, and then seal it up, and that'll make sure that when you're traveling with the controller in its case, those things aren't sloshing around inside of there, but also so that you don't lose them, right? Because that happens all the time. You have all these tiny little parts that come with a new gadget, and then you lose them rather quickly. So this ensures that you don't lose them. So here's a pretty interesting little package that says, you know, open whatever. But essentially it has some random cool stuff in there. So here's some SCUF gaming stickers, right? Prepare to win and all that kind of good stuff. So they're kind of pumping you up. And then there's an instruction booklet. This is actually, I think, just a warning, and I forget what else is in there. Safety information, of course, right? Because they don't want to get sued. And then this is the actual, I don't want to say instruction booklet, but it's kind of a welcome booklet. It does have instructions. It tells you all the contents of this, what are in there, what all the buttons do, you know, how to set it up in different modes. Feel every heartbeat, right? Paddle controls. Then it just goes into the features and benefits of this controller. And if you're someone who's looking at buying this controller, you probably already have a reason as to why you're buying it. And if you don't, definitely read my written review that's up on my website, mnemonictutor.com, and I kind of go into who this is geared at and why they want it, right? So here's just some additional features, and then how to get a hold of support. And I mentioned earlier that I actually did contact support, and I did, and it was because I wanted to find out if this thing was ever going to work for PC, and they told me they don't have an ETA if that's ever going to happen at this point. So for the next roughly minute and a half, I'm just going to show some game capture footage here where I went ahead and booted up Apex Legends on PS4. It's kind of the new popular Battle Royale. And all I wanted to do was test out, how does a controller work, right? Do the button remappings work? On this, I've remapped all of the buttons to the 4 paddles on the back, the 4 on the front of the controller to the back. So what you're seeing here is essentially running around and doing everything with paddles and thumbsticks. And as you can tell, it works like it says it does. So I'm going to go ahead and stop talking right here, let you guys check out the game capture footage, and then I'll come back in the end and kind of give you my final verdict.
Cycle through your inventory.
Just upstairs. 1 second.
Inside the supply bin, you will find a weapon and ammo. Arm yourself. The battle calls upon you. Slaughter as many targets as you wish. Each shot is important as well as the weapon you hold. Grab a second weapon. The field is full of choices. Remember, you can carry only 2 weapons. To equip another weapon, you must swap out the one you are holding. Choose your...
Alright everyone, so what's my final verdict? Well, my verdict is this product is a buy. As I mentioned earlier, the written review for this will be up on my website, mnemonictutor.com. Please go check that out if you want a little bit more in-depth in terms of, you know, review, as opposed to this just kind of doing an unboxing and then a quick review as to tell you, yes, it works the way they say it does. You're not getting ripped off by buying this product. It's worth the amount they're charging you, all that kind of stuff. The review actually, the written review goes into a little bit more in terms of, you know, some gotchas that you might run into if you're not expecting it, or things that you want to know about it that wouldn't be published by the manufacturer, right? So go check out that written review. But at the end of the day, if you're a PS4 player and you happen to play FPSs, or you have a need to remap buttons, right? You need to get the 4 buttons from the front remapped to something on the back so you don't have to keep moving your right thumb off the thumbstick. This is the controller for you. Again, it's expensive, right? It is a $200 controller. I'm not trying to comment on whether a $200 piece of plastic is worth $200. What I'm commenting on is that it works the way they say it does, and it helps tremendously in FPSs and shooters in general, and it's not a ripoff if you're using it in that context. So again, my final verdict for this controller is absolutely a buy if you need it.